Here is the second video that goes along with the sine and cosine graphs. So let's go ahead and recap this. This is transformations of the graphs. So if we have the original y equals a sine bx minus c plus d. If you're inside of the parentheses, that's the c. If you're outside of the parentheses, that is the d. So if you're inside, you're going left or right. If you're outside, you're going up or down. And then if you have a negative sign in front of your a, then you are reflecting. Okay, so all we're doing today is a couple more examples of graphing. There's nothing else to learn in this section, so all we're doing is practicing. So if our first example is y equals sine pi x, remember the first thing we need to figure out is our amplitude in our period. So the amplitude is always the number in front of the function, so that would be 1. In the period is 2 pi over b, and b is the number in front of the x. So 2 pi over pi, the pi's cancel out, and you're just left with 2. So whenever we go to draw our graphs, we have to be very particular with our labeling and with our drawing. So the y-axis is always the easiest one to do because it's just the amplitude. So since if the amplitude's 1, we're just going to count by ones. With our x-axis, we always start at the end with our period. So our period is 2. Half of 2 is 1. Half of 1 is 1/2. Between 1 and 2 would be 1.5 or 0.5 or 0.75, which is 3/4. You have to label all 4. Don't just label half of them. Okay, so now we need to make our t-chart. So you have your x, which is 0, 1/2, 1, 3/4, and 2. Oh, it is 1.5. Oops. Three halves. And then our original sine function is, remember, you have to memorize these. It's only going to make it easier if you do. 0, 1, 0, -1, 0. Since the amplitude is 1, you are not changing anything else with the y. This pi is what changes the x, which is what happened here. So you are now ready to graph this. So this is what you're going to graph. This is your x value, that's your y value. So 0, 0, 1/2, 1, 1, 0, 3/2, -1, 2, 0. And if you notice, it looks like that wave, and it's very uniform. That's another thing. It has to be uniform. Okay, here is another example. So we have y equals negative sine x plus 2. So we want to first find our amplitude and our period. Amplitude is just that number in front of the function, and it's 1. That negative means something else. Period is 2 pi over b, The b is the number in front of the x, which is 1, so it's just 2 pi. And then this minus sign means we are reflecting. And this plus 2 is a d, so we are shifting up 2. Okay, so when you label your y-axis, it's just amplitude of 1, so that's not too hard. Make 4 hash marks. Always start out here on the end with your period. And then it's easy, work your way in. Half of 2 pi is pi. Half of pi is pi over 2. Between is 3 pi over 2. All right, so now you're ready to make your chart. So we've got 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. The original sine function, once again, easy to memorize. 0, 1, 0, -1, 0. But now we have to add in this reflection and the shift up 2. So if we reflect, all you're doing is multiplying this by -1. So 0, -1, 0, 1, 0. And then you're shifting up 2, so you're going to add 2. 2, -1 plus 2 is 1, 2, 3, 2. This is what you want to graph. So 0, 2, 1/2, 1, pi, 2, 3 pi over 2, 3, and then 2 pi, 2. So if you look at this, it still looks like the wave, but this time it's backwards because of that reflection. So you flipped it over. Okay, the next one, we'll work with a cosine graph. We haven't done one of those in a while. Okay, so amplitude is 1. I'm going to change this to a 4 to make it easier. Period is 2 pi over b, which is 4. So then the 2 and the 4 simplify and you get pi over 2. Okay, so amplitude is 1. So that's how you label your y. Make your 4 hash marks. Out on the end, this is your period, so it's pi over 2. All right, so working your way back in. What's half of pi over 2? If the pi confuses you, just think of the number 1. So what's half of a half? A fourth. What's half of a fourth? An eighth. What's between 1/4 and 1/2? If you aren't sure, you can add, you can get the average. So 1/2 plus 1/4 is 0.75. Divide that by 2. You end up getting 3/8. So this would be 3 pi over 8. Okay, so you're ready to make your t-chart. So you've got 0, pi over 8, pi over 4, 3 pi over 8, and then pi over 2. And then cosine. Same thing as sine. You have to memorize these. You probably don't remember them from before, so you might want to look up at your notes. We haven't done a cosine graph in a while. But it's 1, 0, -1, 0, 1. And these are your points you want to graph. So you've got 0, 1, pi over 8, 0, pi over 4, -1, 3 pi over 8, 0, pi over 2, 1. So if you look, this looks like the valley or the U shaped, which is what you want. Okay. So I have 2 more. I might only do this one more though. Okay, so we have y equals sine of x minus pi over 4. Your a is 1. Your period is 2 pi over b, which is 1. So it's just 2 pi. Okay, but this minus pi over 4 means that you are shifting. It's inside of the parentheses, so you're going left or right, and it's opposite of what you think. So you think minus, you're going left, but you're actually going to the right, pi over 4. Okay, so if we want to label, it's just amplitude is 1, so it's pretty easy. Period is 2 pi, so that'd be pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. Okay, so you're ready for your chart. So you have 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. The original sine function, 0, 1, 0, -1, 0. Okay, now the only thing with this shift right, pi over 4, is that is meaning you are going to graph this original function. And then since you are shifting right pi over 4, you're literally going to be like picking these up and moving them. Now think, where would pi over 4 be? Pi over 4 would be between 0 and pi over 2. So you are going to be moving all of these points basically like halfway in the middle. To have your new graph. So the final graph would be the one in the red. Okay, I will go ahead and do this one. So this is y equals cosine of x plus pi over 2. So amplitude is 1, period is 2 pi, because each of those are 1. So we can label Start out at the end with your 2 pi. Work your way in. All right, now make your t-chart. So your x's are 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Okay, the original cosine would be 1, 0, negative 1, 0, 1. And then you're shifting, maybe this will help. You're shifting over to the left because it's opposite. So you're actually taking the x value and subtracting. That doesn't look right. Subtracting pi over 2. So what's 0 minus pi over 2? Negative pi over 2. Pi over 2 minus pi over 2 is 0. Pi minus pi over 2. Pi over 2. 3 pi over 2 minus a pi over 2 is pi. And then 2 pi minus pi over 2 would be 3 pi over 2. Once again, if the pi's confuse you, take those away and just think of the fractions. So 2 minus a half equals. Okay, so now you're going to graph this one, and this is kind of backwards. That's the y, that's the x. So be negative pi over 2, 0. Oh, negative pi over 2, 1. So negative pi over 2, 1. 0, 0. Pi over 2, negative 1. Pi, 0. And 3 pi over 2, 1. So if you look at this one, it is shifted to the left because this original green would be cosine of x. So since we shifted it, you can see that you picked up the points and shifted. So hopefully that helps. Okay, so your homework is page 166, 5 through 8. I believe with these ones, you're just looking for the amplitude and the period. You do not have to graph them. And then you do have to graph 31, 36, 41, and 42.